Hi there. I want to thank you for joining me for my second episode of Midmo Mama. I'm Jenny, and I live in Sedalia, Missouri in the United States, and I am making in the Midwest. I'm recording this video on Tuesday, March 17th, for upload on Thursday, March 19th. This program is about yarn crafts and food and whatever else I want to talk about. In today's episode, we're going to talk about a giveaway, and we're going to talk about a blanket, and we're going to talk about apple crisp, and we're also going to talk about a broccoli chicken rice and cheese casserole. I'm pretty excited about those things, and I hope you are too. So without further ado, let's get this thing rolling. So now we're going to do the Mama's Show and Tell portion of our program. Today is March 17th, and in the United States, it is St. Patrick's Day. The only thing I have to show is my brand new t-shirt. It's from the American Cancer Society. It's the outline of the state of Missouri where I live, and then it says hope across the front of it. I'm not Irish per se. My last name is McHenry, M-C-H-E-N-R-Y, but that's my husband's name. We're not 100% sure if he's Irish. When I was a kid growing up, I was always taught, clearly I'm wrong, but I was always taught that the Micks were Scottish and the O's are Irish. Well, I always thought it was funny because I didn't know, well, how did they keep the Micks from becoming O's and the O's from becoming Micks? Because it's not like people were sequestered to their one country, I guess, in the UK. And that's my ignorance talking. I don't know much about that, but, you know, and also growing up, I was told, okay, if you don't wear green, you can get pinched, right? You can get pinched if you don't wear green, but then you can't wear orange. Don't you dare wear orange on St. Patrick's Day, because then they can shoot you with a gun. So that was always the rule. Don't wear orange on St. Patrick's Day, or you'll get shot. I don't know the significance of orange. I'm sure there's people that have Irish heritage that could explain that. I did look it up on Wikipedia. Like I said, my heritage is not Irish. My mom, from her on back, they're all full-blood Finns. They hail from Finland. My grandparents, Grammy and Grampy Lettinen was their last name, and they spoke Finn, but it was their parents. I don't know if it was, well, I can't say that for you. I can't remember if it was my grandparents' parents that came from Finland to the United States, or if it was their parents, my great-great-grandparents, who came from Finland to the United States. But that's my heritage on my mom's side. She never learned to speak Finn because back in her day when she was growing up, it was frowned upon to speak a different language. Obviously, everything has relaxed a whole lot more now, and to be multilingual is a fantastic thing to do, but in her day that was not a good thing. So she did not learn the language. So all the Finnish heritage kind of died in my family at that point. Other than, you know, where the family came from and stuff. My dad's side, I think I can honestly, truly say that we're mutts on my dad's side. My great-grandmother on my dad's side, on my dad's mom's side, she was a yokum. And as I've learned, the name yokum, no matter how it's spelled, is a purely, entirely American name. From what I understand, it is not found in other societies. So yokum is an American name. And so, in my great-grandmother, Evangie, her name was Evangie Bailey, because she married a Bailey. But she was a yokum, and all her brothers and sisters and their families, they were all yokums. So what's kind of interesting about that name is that no matter who they are or how they spell it, there's some kind of relation to us. But I'm not a yokum, and so, you know, because when you get married, your name kind of dies. Not everyone changes their name. Not everyone lets their last name die, but you know, we let our last names die. So, and I wouldn't have been a yokum anyway. I'd have been a Carter, because Grandma married Grandpa, and his name was Carter, and then Mom, her name was Lettinen, and she became Carter, and then I became Carter, and then for a few years, for 15 years, I was an Irwin, Irwin, and I think that's Irish. I think they were pretty proud of their Irish heritage, my first husband. And then now I'm McHenry. And so he thinks it's Irish, and if he says it's Irish, then it's Irish, because I don't know any better. What does that have to do with anything? Because I'm talking about St. Patrick's Day, and I didn't know, I really don't know, but it says from Wikipedia, St. Patrick's Day, or the Feast of St. Patrick, is a cultural and religious celebration held on the 17th of March, the traditional death date of St. Patrick. He was born around 385, and he died in 461. He's the foremost patron saint of Ireland. St. Patrick's Day was made an official Christian feast day in the early 17th century and is observed by the Catholic Church, the Anglican Communion, the Eastern Orthodox Church, and the Lutheran Church. The day commemorates St. Patrick and the arrival of Christianity in Ireland. Okay, I did not know that. And it celebrates the heritage and culture of the Irish in general. So whether you're a Christian Irish or not, it just celebrates Irish heritage. Celebrations generally involve public parades and festivals, and a word called CEILIS, which I don't know what that is, Celis, and the wearing of green attire or shamrocks. Christians who belong to liturgical denominations also attend church services, and historically, the Lenten restrictions on eating and drinking alcohol were lifted for the day, which has encouraged and propagated the holiday's tradition of alcohol consumption. The green beer. Okay. So anyway, that's why, I guess that's why we celebrate St. Patrick, and of course the Americans, for any excuse to get together and drink lots of beer and be a fool. We kind of embrace those holidays in this country. So there's that. I've since I'm not an Irish person. I've never really participated in the Irish celebrations, and half the time I actually forget to wear green. I don't have a whole lot of green in my wardrobe, but my husband came home from work Friday with these shirts, and I was like, that's just in time for St. Patrick's Day. I'll be able to participate in the holiday. And he said, yeah. So here we are celebrating St. Patrick's Day, but I'm not having green beer. We have women's ministry tonight, and we're supposed to bring green food. So I'm going to make the chicken, rice, broccoli, and cheese casserole. So I'm going to film that after we get done here and then put it in my show. Hopefully it'll all fit, but we'll see. But because we're supposed to bring green food, I wanted to make something that had broccoli in it. And Audrey loves the broccoli, cheese, and rice casserole. But I thought, let me add chicken to it too. Because meat. I try to get my protein in where I can. So there's that. So I'm just rambling on the show and tell. Oh, and I'm not supposed to hit the table. Last episode, I watched myself and I kept slamming my hands down on the table, and I kept hearing it slapping. And then once in a while, I would slap the table so hard that the camera jiggled. So I have to learn not to do that. There was another thing. Oh, my swallowing. I am sorry. I get like that, and that was annoying. So I'm gonna try not to swallow like that again. But I'm learning new things. I'm learning eventually that my someday this will be a well-oiled machine, and we won't have to worry about that kind of thing. So we're not going to talk about St. Patrick's Day anymore. I'm done with that topic. My green shirt. That's the only show and tell I have was the green shirt. I have some stuff on the way, but that will have to wait till next episode. Well, I guess I could tell you I had to buy 6 more skeins of this. Because I just settled on a blanket, and it turns out I'm going to need a total of 16 balls of this, and I started with 6. And so I went back to Hobby Lobby the day before yesterday. No, yesterday. Yesterday was Monday. So I went back over there, and they had 6 more balls, so I bought the other 6. But I need a total of 16, and now I've only got 12. So I'm going to wait another 2 weeks, and then they should have another 6 balls, but I'm only going to buy 4 of them. But I'll show you what I'm working on here in the next segment. So last episode, I was telling you about a giveaway. I had bought a toe-to-toe sock measuring tool from A Needle Runs Through It. It's an Etsy shop, and the owner of the shop offered to give away a 10-inch one, and just for review purposes, this is the one I bought. This one is 12 inches, but she has offered to give away a 10-inch one. The 10-inch one starts at 0, and it's about that short. So where my finger is, okay? I'm not going to go into details about this because I covered it pretty thoroughly in the first episode. Just go back and watch that segment, and you'll get to hear all about it. But not a single solitary soul entered the giveaway. Don't anybody want one of these? I know I would. I did. I bought one. I paid money for mine. But maybe everybody who would use one, maybe they all have one. But if you know somebody who would like to have one of these, I'm going to sweeten the deal. Not only will you get a 10-inch toe-to-toe knitting tool, in the giveaway. But I'm going to get the 10-inch one. I have added a skein of yarn. This is the same yarn that I used to make my husband's rye socks. I showed them in the last episode. I had 2 skeins of this, and I was able to get an entire pair. My husband, and once again, he wears a size 15 shoe. And so I was able to get an entire pair of worsted weight socks out of 1 skein. Okay? So this is Nerd Girl Yarns. I have to say I have been a very, very loyal fan of Nerd Girl Yarns for a long time. Not because I'm a nerd. I can't call myself really a nerd because I'm not into the comic books or sci-fi or fantasy or the things that people typically label themselves as nerds on. I would say I would be classified more of a fuddy-duddy than a nerd. But I love her colorways. I don't watch a whole lot of the programs, and so a lot of times the colorways are lost on me because I don't watch a lot of the stuff that she does. But I love her yarns, and she's a Missouri girl. She lives in Odessa, her shop, and so I when she had a brick and mortar store, I used to go to her shop often. And she would teach me about different types of yarn because when I first started, I didn't know anything. Her husband got really sick, and she had to put her shop on hiatus for a short period of time because they're dealing with medication issues, and she's really hit a rough patch in her family's life. So if you're the praying kind, just lift her up because they're really kind of struggling right now. But watch for her shop to reopen as often as you can, because when she has something available, you might consider supporting her shop because she's an excellent dyer and she's been in the business for a long time. This yarn is the Parlay base. It was originally, it's a worsted weight, 60% merino, 40% bamboo. It's 470 yards, 100 grams. The recommendation is that you hand wash cold with light colors and lay flat to dry. This colorway is called Carnival of Time, and it retails for $22. And then I decided to go ahead and throw in a handful of the locking stitch markers, those little safety pin style. And I just put a rainbow of colors on there. There's blue, orange, green, yellow, purple, and red. So the yarn is a $22 value. The 10-inch toe-to-toe sock blocker is a $20 value. So together, that will equal a $42 value. Okay, so we're upping the stakes just a little bit, but it's a beautiful yarn. It's very soft, and the colors are somewhat muted because of the bamboo content, so they're not quite as vivid. But as you saw the socks in the last episode, they were very beautifully done. And I'm not saying you have to make socks out of this. It's worsted weight. You could actually probably get a fairly decent hat out of it, or whatever else you wanted to make. So just because you're getting the sock tool and the yarn, you're not obligated to make socks out of it. But just to sweeten the deal, you're going to get both. Now, the sock tool will come directly from Marisabel and it'll run through it. But I will send this to you myself. So you'll get your prize from 2 separate directions, okay? So there's that. So how do you win? Well, you respond to the YouTube episode comments down below in this comments thread only. You must copy and paste the following question exactly. The question is, do you knit or crochet socks? And then you answer the question. Do you knit or crochet socks? Even if you answer no, that's still an answer to the question. And all I care about is whether you follow the directions. Although I am interested in if you crochet or knit socks. But you can say yes or no, or you can say yes, I knit socks, or say yes, I crochet socks, or you could say yes, I knit socks, but I don't crochet socks, or you could say yes, I crochet socks, but I don't knit socks, or you can say no, I don't knit either one, but I might try someday and might want to have one of those knitting sock, toe-to-toe sock knitting tools. So whatever your answer is fine, but I just want you to post a question and answer it. And that's it. That's how you enter the contest, okay? Limitations. Entries are limited to United States residents, including Alaska and Hawaii. 1 entry per user ID. So the entry period is starts on Thursday, March 19th, and you have until noon Central Time on March 31st. And then the winner will be announced on that episode that will be uploaded on April 2nd. Okay? So you have until noon, 12 o'clock noon, on March 31st, 2020. And then on that Thursday, I will announce the winner on the episode, okay? How do you win? Eligible entries will be assigned a number, and a random number generator will determine the winning entry. The winner's user ID will be announced on the Thursday, April 2nd episode of Mid-Mo Mama. You must watch the episode to find out if you win. The winner must contact me via email at midmomama2@gmail.com. The winner has 30 days from the date of the original announcement to claim their prize. Unclaimed prizes are forfeit and will do a redraw. Disclaimer. YouTube is not affiliated with this giveaway in any way. So let's move on to the next segment. So here we come to the Mama Crafts section, and I am surprised, I'm amazed at myself. I have a finished object. So let me show you what I got. I finished the wedding blanket that I was making. I didn't think I would be done, but I did. I finished all the way around the border and everything. But this is what it looks like. It is so beautiful. It's that big. That's how big it is. Well, it's even bigger than that. I could stand up and show you more. I could, but I ain't gonna. Because, you're just gonna have to enjoy it from the way I'm showing it. Just the way it is. You can't see me, but I can see you. But I want to tell you all about my blanket. It is the, let me tell you what the pattern is. The pattern is, hey Boots. The pattern is Summer Mist Throw by Kim Guzman. I'll still throw the pattern up on the screen so you can see it. I'm going to use the Ravelry listing because that's convenient and it's a beautiful presentation, and I don't think I'll get in trouble as long as I say that it's Ravelry and whose pattern it is. But it is a free pattern. It's not a free Ravelry download. You have to go to the Yarnspirations website to get it, but it gives you a link in there to go straight to it. So it's a free pattern. It is crochet throw. Uses Aran weight yarn. I love this yarn. from Hobby Lobby. Recommended hook size is a K. I used a K. And the finished size was supposed to be 49 inches by 58 inches. I have to say that mine came out at about 48 inches square. So, does that mean that I don't know? Yeah, it must mean. It must mean that I crochet tight, I guess. But I don't feel like I crochet tight. I mean, I washed this in the washing machine, so it did soften up beautifully. It's fine. I'm not upset that I only ended up with a 48-inch square blanket. You know, I could have measured for gauge, but I didn't. But the gauge for the pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I got about 10 stitches for 4 inches, where it calls for 9 for 4 inches. And the 6-row repeat is 3.5 inches. Well, the 6-row repeat for me, so my gauge was off by 1 single crochet across and 1/2 inch. But it doesn't matter. It's a nice size, 48 inches square. It covers, like if I sat down in a recliner, it would cover most of my body, you know, up to about my shoulders. And usually if you're gonna sit on the couch, you're gonna have your arms free anyway, because you're gonna either flip the channels or read your book or phone or whatever. You'll have your hands free, so you'll have it up. So it turned out to be a decent size. I love mine. One of my friends suggested I talk about my inspiration for putting the colors together. And I thought, here's what I thought I had done. But it was part of how I led up to just doing what I ended up doing, which wasn't what I thought I had scientifically decided to do. But I had seen in a program somewhere, I think it was on Instagram, someone took a snapshot of their yarns in black and white, and they graded them by the intensity of their color. So they went with the pale, medium light, medium dark, and then dark. Well, I took a snapshot of mine, wanting to do the same thing, you know, so that my blanket wouldn't be too busy. But when I took my black and white picture, my gray mist and my rosy cheeks turned out to be the same intensity. I mean, identical. So I ended up with a light, 2 mediums, and a dark. The blue was a dark impression. So I'm like, okay. And then I thought, well, I have 2 different pinks. So then I decided, well, I'll just alternate, because I don't want my pinks to be side by side. So that's why I chose the order I did. But I was inspired by that black and white picture, but mine didn't come out the way I thought it would. So that's how I chose, because I didn't want the pinks to be side by side. And my colorways, once again, rosy cheeks, gray mist, soft pink, and stonewash. All right. So that's it. That's my one and only finished project so far. But I am thankful for it. It was a joy to work on. I generally don't make the same project pattern, but I don't know, if I was at a loss for a pattern and I wanted something quick, I would go back to this pattern and do another one in a different color scheme. So I thought it was well worth the free price of the pattern. No doubt about it. So that's all for my finished objects. So let me show you what I'm working on. I am still working on in my cheese mouse bag. This is my handmade in Nova Scotia, Canada by Art by Anna. I guess I should hold that up so you can see Art by Anna. I'm still working on my 2-at-once toe-up magic loop socks. I'll throw that pattern up there from Ravelry. It is a free pattern from Knit Picks. So you can go there to get it. I've made some progress on them. My toe pockets are much deeper now. I only work on this on Mondays during knit group. Now my group didn't meet last night. Not necessarily because of the virus, but everyone else had other commitments to go on, and I had gone out of town yesterday, and when I got back into town, I didn't really feel like going back out again. I don't know, I'm a homebody, and so sometimes it's really difficult for me to get back out of the house once I've come home, because I love home. But anyway, we didn't get together last night, but I still knitted on my socks last night because it's Monday night and I do my Monday night project. So my toe pockets are deeper. And as a matter of fact, I measured last night. I was at, I think I was at 1.5 inches. Let me see. See how that works? See? I'm at 1.25 inches, roughly. So I'm at 1.25 inches in. I have to, I'm still working on the increases. I'm also using my little stitch marker from a needle runs through it. Telling you, you need to enter that contest so you can get one of these and the yarn. Anyway, I'm using the, it's just to mark my first stitch or my beginning round so that if something should happen and I happen to be in the middle of a round and have to put it down, at least I know where my starting point is. On this, I'm using the Walk Away sock yarn by Yarn Bee. It's fine. It's I use good yarn. I used fancy yarn. This was the very first sock yarn I ever bought in my whole entire life, and I want to use stuff that I already have. I have tons. I could have used fancy yarn, but my first pair, I feel like it's okay to not use the best thing. It's fine with me. But the yarn is pretty. It's like Easter egg colors. You know, we got aqua and turquoise and blue and pink and kind of like a violet. Not violet. Yellow. There's yellow in there. I love yellow. But I think it's a pretty yarn, and I think the socks are going to be adorable. But now that my toe pockets are much deeper, I'm finding it a whole lot easier to make it around regularly. And then I'm using the Knitter's Pride Zing fixed circular needles. They're aluminum. These are 40-inch cable, size 1.5 US, 2.5 millimeter needles. I'm enjoying them. I'm making slow progress. I'm sorry, I mentioned that before. I'm not very fast when it comes to stuff. But I enjoy it, and I do it more for the enjoyment of it, not because I'm in a hurry to get something done. I try to plan. If I'm making a gift, I won't even try if it's short notice. But if I have time to make a gift, I'm going to take the time to do it. I don't like to rush my processes, because then that's when I start making mistakes. And we don't have time for mistakes, do we? No. The second thing I'm working on is the new blanket that I talked about, that I bought this yarn for, that I still need to buy 4 balls for. This is what I'm making so far. It's only just a little square. This is where I left off at, so I guess I should show this side. I have to finish the square around. But I'm working on a pattern called Cozy Night Throw by Nicolette Corley Designs. Corley, Corley. Sorry for my pronunciation. It's a crochet blanket throw. It was published in January of 2018. It uses a bulky 5. You use a hook size 8mm or US size L. L as in Lima. The suggested yardage is 1640 yards to 1750 yards. It'll come out to be a 52-inch square. It's done in US crochet terminology, and it's available in 2 languages, English and Hungarian. It's a pattern. It's $5.99 US. Okay, my yarn, for one, it's coming up very lovely. It's soft. It seems somewhat stiff right now, but as we know, acrylic does soften up in the wash. I'm enjoying the stitch definition. I'm enjoying the rounds. I'm on round 10, and the pattern has 41 rounds. I think it has 41. Yes, it has 41 rounds. And then you can make 4 tassels for each corner. I might just go ahead and make the tassels. It depends on the amount of yarn I have left. Seems like tassels are seems like they've kind of gone out of fashion. But I think maybe it's just because most of us are lazy and we don't want to accessorize our accessories. But it might be worth the effort. I might make the tassels, and if they don't look that good, then I'll go ahead and not put them on there. But it'll ultimately depend on whether or not I have enough yarn at the end. I find this to be a lovely pattern. I'm enjoying working on it. And like I said, I'm only on round 10 out of 41. But, that's a little bit of progress there. That's an entire skein of yarn, by the way. One entire skein. And so, since I need 1640, and they're 100 grams each, I'm going to need at least a total of 16 of them. I might need to go ahead and get it a 17th ball, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Don't need to get it all at once. So, but since I have different dye lots, I was going to alternate now. And I don't think there's if there's a difference, there's not much difference. I don't know. This is a different dye lot than this one, but I don't know if you can tell. Probably you would. I don't know. I can't see one in my life. I think it looks about the same. So, I'm pleased with the way that one's going. And that's the only 2 things I'm working on right now. But I'm enjoying it. The yarn I'm using, of course, is the I Love This Chunky, bulky weight 5 yarn. And my L hook. I don't put it in a bag because I don't take it anywhere. It's a blanket. For the most part, I like to work on blankets at home. I don't like to tote them around everywhere. Although I do have tote bags I can carry with. And since this only has one color, I would probably be more inclined to carry that project around with me. But since I knit my socks with my friends on Mondays, the likelihood of me taking the blanket out and about is slim. Not to say that I never would, but I don't intend to, as far as I know. So that completes it for works in progress. And now I want to talk about 5 notable patterns on Ravelry. They're in alphabetical order. as I mentioned before, they're not in order by what I like. They're just what I happen to see and what I like. The first one I really liked the look of was A Tale of Morocco Nomad Socks by Mia Demer, Dehmer, along with Vicky Vera. I think that's the yarn. The socks come from a booklet, an ebook, a 5-pattern ebook called A Tale of Morocco, the socks. And this particular pair just leaped off of the screen for me when I was going through my pattern highlights. I think these are gorgeous. They're knitted socks, ankle socks. It looks like they go a little bit above the ankle bone. Used fingering weights. It was just published this month in March. Recommended needle size is 1.5 US, 2.5 millimeter. That's what I'm using for my works in progress. They suggest 416 to 459 yards of yarn. There's 2 sizes available, small and large, and it's available in 2 languages, English and Swedish. The pattern is available for $5 individually, or you can buy the 5-pattern ebook for $20. So it looks like you get, assuming that each pair would be worth $5 individually, it looks like you get 1 pair free if you buy the entire ebook. A little narrative here says, inspired by traditional Berber rag rugs made by the women for generations. Worn out clothes are torn in strips, and the amazing patterns are created with a mix of woven stripes and knots for the rug to cover the floor. Some rugs are made in geometrical patterns, and others are beautifully designed to tell a life story of a family. You can get a yarn kit from Vicky Vera. There's a link here in the pattern notes. Or you can use any fingering weight sock yarn. They recommend you get a white and a nomad mix. So you want a white yarn, because it's color work, of course. And it looks like they're long color changes. Long color changes, I think is what I'm sure somebody's yelling at me right now saying, it's this! You're an idiot. No, I'm not an idiot. Sometimes I can't find my words. So anyway, that is a beautiful pattern. I hope you look it up. The next pattern that I fell in love with on here was called Clowny by Crazy Claire from her Ravelry store. It is a Ravelry download. It's knitted. It looks like a poncho or shawl wrap, but it was published in February this year. The suggested yarn weight is fingering. Needle size US 4, 3.5 millimeter needles. They request yardage of 875 to 1,094 yards. It's available in 1 size, and it's available in English. It says it's available in English, but the pattern price, the currency is in Hong Kong currency, 31.40. I don't know the currency name in Hong Kong, but it equates to $4.20 US. So apparently our designer is in Hong Kong or lives in Hong Kong. But it's called Clowny, and it's got vibrant colors. It's got sort of it's not exactly a Greek key, pattern along the edge, but it's similar to that. I love it. Her narrative, 314, 314, 314, hence 31.4 as she named the price for this. But March 14 is a very important date in my life. Happy birthday to my dearest hubby and my daughter. Thanks for their support along. Purchase my new pattern, Clowny. You may enjoy 20% off with coupon code Happy Birthday. Limited to 314 users, first come, first serve. So, you might give it a try and see if you qualify for the discount. She appreciates your support. And then she gave the poem or lyric to send in the clown. Isn't it rich? Are we a pair? We met here at last on the ground, you in midair. Where are the clowns? So, using those song lyrics, isn't it rich? The color is rich. Aren't we a pair of needles? Me here at last on the ground, knitting this simple pattern, and you in mid-air with yarn flying over. That's cute. Where are the clowns? This striking 3-color shawl. That's where the clowns are. If you can knit in 2-color, you can easily master mosaic knitting. That's what this is. It's mosaic knitting. Mosaic knitting was coined by Barbara G. Walker in the late 1960s. It is a simple technique of using 2 contrast color yarn, and the patterns are created by slipping stitches from the stripe below without working them. This is a simple pattern of using 3 different colors to create a striking shawl. I have been enjoying this technique for some years, and I have created this pattern to share with you this simple yet effective way of knitting. If you haven't tried mosaic knitting before, I hope this pattern will encourage you to try this simple technique. Enjoy. Very nice. She gives the dimensions and she mentions the colorways that she recommends based on the brand of yarn. So that's lovely. I absolutely love this. I think it's a beautiful pattern, and I hope you check it out if you're interested. The next notable pattern on Ravelry, number 3, is the Heart Warmer Shawl by Justina Lorokowska. Justina Lorokowska. That's a lovely name, Lorokowska. Lorkowska. Justina. It's called the Heart Warmer Shawl. It's published in Letty's Knits. It's a knitted shawl wrap. It was published this month in March. She suggests 3 different types of yarn, but it requires fingering weight. She uses 3 needle sizes in this project, a US 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter. She uses a 4, US 4, which is 3.5 millimeter, and she uses a US 6, which is a 4 millimeter. She recommends 1,000 yards for this project, 1 size, and it's available in English only. It costs $6, but if you purchase 5 of her self-published designs at the same time, they need to be in the same cart, you will get the least expensive one for free. Also, if you have purchased the Heart Warmer Cowl before, or if you add both into the cart now, they will both cost $8 together. The promo runs indefinitely and no code is needed. Happy knitting. The Heartwarmer shawl came to life as a larger sister design in a fun cowl I designed last year. It's playful and uses 2 skeins of merino silk yak singles. Heartwarmer shawl is meant to be your go-to neck piece this winter and spring, or even next. The shawl begins at the top center and is worked outward to the border. There are 2 yarn over increases in every row, which create a long banana-like shape. The shawl is worked in sections, each featuring a different texture or lace stitch pattern. So one size, recommend 2 skeins of yarn and needles. You'll need a couple of stitch markers and a tapestry needle for weaving. The thing I like about this shawl is the bobbles. I'm seeing lots of bobbles in many new patterns this winter, I've noticed. And the thing that caught me was the copper colored yarn that she used and the texture. The texture is a big deal. I'm drawn to color, I'm drawn to texture. I don't like things that are too plain. So if it's going to be all one color, I want texture to be showcased. And if it's not, otherwise I want lots of color. I think this is a beautiful shawl and I hope that you check it out. It's lovely. $6 US. The fourth pattern that I would like to highlight in my notable patterns is called Sunshine by Natalia Moreva. Moreva. It's published on the Kulabra. It's from the Kulabra design website. It's a knitting pattern. It is not a Ravelry download. You have to go to the Kulabra design website to get this pattern. But it was published this month in March. It's available in English. The pattern is available for $6. It is worked in 2 steps. The main part of it is a wide zigzag panel, which is worked sideways. The stitches for the shawl center are picked up along the top edge of the zigzag stripe. I'm having a hard time with my T's today. Techniques used are decreases, increases, short rows, and garter. You must be comfortable with all of the above to knit it. You will need long circular needles, US 5 or 6, and you need fingering weight or sport weight yarn in 3 colors, so you can make it smaller or bigger. You can use a gradient, you can use a speckled, you could use variegated yarn for the colored one, A, B, and C. Oh, my brain. I'm sorry, because it calls for 3 colors. I'm like, how come there's only 2? There's 3. So you want to use kind of a yellow color for the sun, and you want to use some sort of a blue for the sky, and then you can use a variegated color for the small rays at the outer edge. And of course, since it's the sun, this lady, she used shades of orange and red. But there's other folks who went with a completely different color scheme. Looks like dark navy blue, silver, and lighter blue. So, there's various different avenues you can go. When you're dealing with color, you can make it your own and do whatever you want. But boy, that sunshine is beautiful. And we can't seem to get sunshine to stick around here, and maybe that's why I was drawn to the pattern, because we've been overcast. It seems like we'll have about a half a day of sunshine, and then it will go away, and then we don't have any more sun for days and days, and then it comes out for a little short time and we get clouds again. So maybe that's why I was drawn to that one. And finally, I would like to highlight a pattern called Touch of Merino Cardigan. It was designed by Wilma Westenberg. It was published in Willmade website. I think that's her personal website. It's a crochet cardigan sweater. It was published in March. The reason why it's called Touch of Merino Cardigan is because it suggests that you use Lion brand Touch of Merino yarn. It is a DK weight yarn. She uses 2 different sizes of hooks. In this crochet pattern, she uses a 6mm J, and she uses a 5mm H. It is available in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sizes: small, medium, large, extra large, 2 extra large, 3 extra large, 4 extra large, and 5 extra large. Okay, so you'll use anywhere from 900 yards to 1600 yards to make your custom made cardigan. It is written in US crochet terminology, and it is available in English. However, it's $2.50 euro, which equates to about $2.91 US. You can buy it as a Ravelry download, or you can go to the pattern website for it as well. It says, crochet your own Touch of Merino cardigan using this crochet pattern in PDF format. And I told you the available sizes. I liked it because it looks like a wardrobe staple. It caught my eye just because I feel like I'm ready to make a cardigan. I've made 2 pullover sweaters, and I'm working on a pullover one, but I've never made a cardigan before. I can't wear the crocheted pullover sweater I wore because when I made it, I was a 2XL in size, and now I'm just a size large. I'm a large medium. I like the way medium, but I find it hard to believe that I'm a medium, so I usually buy large. So I can't wear my crochet sweater, and I'm trying to decide how bad I want to salvage the yarn and make one smaller. But the knitted one fits me beautifully, and I will wear it in a future episode. It just happens to be a day that I need to wear a certain color. But perhaps next episode I'll wear my sweater. Perhaps. No promises. I may or may not. Anyway, but I would like to try a cardigan, and I think this would be a good way to start. Lion brand is usually a fairly affordable yarn, and Touch of Merino, it describes it in the pattern along the sidebar where it discusses the recommended yarn for the pattern. It's 90% acrylic, 10% merino. It has 257 yards per 100 grams. It's a DK weight. So I think that's a good option. I would definitely make one, and it's such a, I would call it like a universal design that you could make one in several different colors, and it would just, you just rotate them out. Very lovely. I really like that a lot. And so that covers it for the Mama Crafts section. So now it's time to move on to the next segment. now it's time for us to talk about the Mama Bakes section. I had some friends over for Bible study, and it was my turn to provide the refreshment. And I made an apple crisp. I completely forgot about Pi Day. Pi Day was on Saturday, March 14th, because it's 3.14 is pi. And I've participated in that in many years, but this year it just I forgot it was Pi Day. So I didn't make a pie on Saturday, which I probably would have if I had remembered it was a Saturday. But we had donuts that day. And then when I remembered that it was Pi Day, I didn't feel like going back out to the store to buy stuff to make a pie. But I made an apple crisp for my Bible study, which met on Wednesday. So I was just early. It's not really a pie, but I used a pie plate. So that was what I did. I used an apple crisp recipe from the same cookbook I used last episode. It's the 354th MXS recipes from those who served. They had 2 apple crisp recipes in here. One of them was oats, used oats for the crust, and the other one used pecans for the crust. So I went with the one that called for pecans because I had pecans on hand. I have oats on hand too, but I like to eat my oatmeal. And I had lots of extra pecans on hand, and I happened to have some honey toasted ones from a local farm, Miller's Pecan Farm. They made some honey toasted ones. So I made the apple crisp, and I did a better job this time. I actually got the stovetop into the picture, and so you should enjoy seeing what it looked like and the pictures afterwards. I think it turned out real lovely. So without further ado, let me show you how I made my apple crisp, and we'll be back later. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. You want 4 apples that are peeled and sliced, and you want to pour them into your pie plate or similar baking dish. You want to sprinkle the apples with a 2/3 cup of sugar and a 1/4 teaspoon cinnamon. Then you take 3 tablespoons of water and you drizzle it around. And then you take 3 tablespoons of butter and cut them into cubes and arrange them randomly around the apples. So you're done with that portion of it. So you take a small bowl and you put 1 cup of flour, 1 stick of butter that's cut into pieces, and you take 2 knives and you cut the butter into the flour to make a crumbly mixture. So you just take 2 knives and you just pull them apart, run in opposite directions with them until everything's all crumbly and well mixed around. I spend a fair amount of time doing this, but I find that's one of the best ways. You could take a pastry blender, one of those handheld things with the lines in them, but I find that a pair of knives work every bit as good. After you get the flour and butter all crumbly and nice, you add a 1/2 cup of brown sugar packed. There goes the brown sugar. Mix that around, and then you want to add a 1/2 cup of chopped pecans. As I mentioned before, I used honey toasted pecans, but obviously regular pecans are absolutely suitable for this recipe. Once everything is combined, you do want to pour it over top of your apples. You want to make it nice and neat. So the apples I used in this recipe, I had one Pink Lady apple, so I went ahead and peeled and cut it in quarters and sliced it. And then I had bought, I hadn't bought it before, it was a Honey Crisp and Fuji apple blend. So I bought a bag of those, and I just took 3 of those and did the same thing. I peeled it, cored it, cut them in quarters and sliced them. Once you pour this topping on, you want to make sure that all the apples are under the topping. And once you have it nicely arranged and packed down evenly, you want to put it in the oven at 350 degrees. You want to bake it for 40 to 45 minutes. So while you're waiting, you can clean up your kitchen, and then after the time period goes by, it comes out of the oven looking wonderful and smelling fantastic. You want to let it cool a little bit, but you do want to serve it warm with a nice, healthy serving of vanilla ice cream. Delicious! And now it's time for the Mama Cooks section. I thought I would go ahead and, I haven't made it yet. We have women's ministry this evening at church, and everybody was asked to bring a green food. Well, I thought about the lime jello, but I imagine somebody else will come up with the lime jello. So the next thing I thought of was to make something that had a green vegetable in it. So I was thinking broccoli. And then my daughter said, well, why don't you make the broccoli, cheese, and rice casserole that you normally make for Thanksgiving? And I thought, what a good idea. And then I decided that I wanted to make a main dish casserole, so I decided to make it with chicken in it as well. So it's going to have chicken, broccoli, rice, and cheese. And it's going to be baked in a casserole, and it's going to be delicious. But I don't know what I've done because I haven't made it yet. After I get done sitting with you guys, I'm going to go make it and then add it to my video tomorrow. So hopefully that will go well. And if it doesn't, well, then we won't have that clip in here. But it uses basic ingredients, and I will post the recipe in my show notes. So I hope you enjoy the broccoli, rice, cheese, and chicken casserole that I'm going to make. And hope that you learn. You probably have a variation of this yourself, but it's fun to make something common, basic. You know, I'm not a gourmet. I like fancy food, but in my heart of hearts, I really like regular stuff. So, hope you enjoy the casserole, and we'll see you back here in a little while. For this recipe, you want 2 cups of water, 2 cups of uncooked instant rice, 3 packages, 7 ounces each of chunk chicken. You want a can of cream of mushroom soup, a can of cream of chicken soup, 1/4 cup of butter, cubed, 1 cup of milk, 1 16-ounce package of frozen chopped broccoli, a small white onion, chopped, and 1 pound of Velveeta, cubed. You preheat the oven to 350 degrees. And then in a medium saucepan, you want to take those 2 cups of water and bring them to a boil. While I'm waiting for the water to boil, I go ahead and start assembling my casserole. You're supposed to use a 13 by 9 baking dish. Mine's a very slightly bigger than that. It's a little bit bigger, but not by much. But you know, it's my favorite casserole pan. As you can see, my water's probably boiling in there because I poured my rice in. It's instant rice, so of course you just dump it in, stir it around, and then remove it from the heat for 5 minutes, and it absorbs all that liquid. So here in my pan, I put the chicken, I added the soups, and then I put the cubed butter in and stirred it around. Now, my recipe, it called for 2 10-ounce cans of tuna, or not tuna, 2 10-ounce cans of chunked chicken. But my store only had the Always Save brand, and so the other option was to get the 7-ounce packages of the I guess they're freeze-dried or something. Not freeze-dried, but they're in those foil packages. So they were 7 ounces each, and since I needed 2 10-ounce cans, I just went with 3 7 ounces and ended up with 21 ounces of chicken. I just feel like it turned out better, I think. Then here you're adding milk. I just add my milk gradually because I feel like it helps smooth out the cream soups a little bit better if I just go gradual with the milk. When I'm stirring around, waiting for the rice to get done, I'm a scraper too. When my stuff is finished, I scrape until every last morsel is scraped out of stuff. So, you know, you saw me going crazy on the soup. I had to get every drop of soup. Well, here you're going to see me get every single grain of rice. I don't like stuff to go to waste. I want to be in my food. And if I'm missing 2 or 3 specks of rice, I just might notice it. I don't know. I'm joking. But there's my rice going in there, nice and fluffy. And then after the rice, I go ahead and add my broccoli. And it's an entire 16-ounce bag. 16 ounces is a pound, so as long as it's a pound, and you stir that around. I spend a good portion of time stirring that around. My recipes, the detailed recipes, are actually in my show notes. I learned in my last episode that I could not fit all of my show notes in my little description box for my episode, but I have a free website. It's a Wix website where I post my entire show notes, including all my detailed links at my website. So if there's something that you wanted to refer back to, just click the link to my website and it'll take you straight to the show notes for that. I have, like I said, all my links to the patterns I talk about. I have complete recipes written out so that you don't have to wonder what I did or rewatch the episode. There's Scott and Boots. Scott came home from work, and when he comes home, he likes to carry Boots around the house. It's just something that they do. So as you see, I've added the onions and the Velveeta. I'm a Velveeta person. If you prefer cheese whiz, okay, that's fine. If you prefer fancy cheese and you want to shred your own, that's fine. But I like Velveeta. It melts smoother than any other cheese and it tastes great. Yes, it adds a lot of fat and cholesterol, so of course if you're watching your fat and cholesterol, you just want to be mindful. And then it's ready to go in the oven. Our women's ministry ended up being canceled, so my daughter and I, we enjoyed it ourselves. We put some in freezer containers and put portions of it in the freezer for a future meal. But, you know, you want to just mix it up. halfway through the cooking time, you want to mix it up, make sure it's melting. And then when you bring it out of the oven for the final time, as you can see here, you just mix it around again just to make sure the cheese is all dispersed. And there you go. It's ready to eat. So now we've made it to the Mama Reads portion, and I'm actually pretty pleased with my progress. I finished reading The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers. I wonder if it'd be okay for me to throw a screenshot of that book from Goodreads. I mean, if I can throw one up from Ravelry, maybe I could use Goodreads. Everybody uses Goodreads, don't they? So I finished The Masterpiece. I loved it. I thought it was a very, very good book. Got a lot out of it myself. I thought it was... the characters were realistic, and it was a nice romance, and it wasn't fluffy. And they both came from difficult backgrounds, so one wasn't any more better than the other one, and they were good, and I really enjoyed the book. I also I started it and finished it yesterday. I didn't start it yesterday. I started it right after I finished The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers. And it is called The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs, A New History of a Lost World. It's by Stephen Brusatte, Brusatte. I listened to it on audiobook. It was narrated by Patrick Lawler, and I thought it was interesting. It's just another history of the dinosaurs, and it talks about stuff that I didn't know. It was educational. And so if you're looking for a book about dinosaurs, then that's a pretty good one. It was fairly short. It was over 10 hours listening time, but I enjoyed it. It was fine, but I finished it yesterday, and this morning I started on another Francine Rivers book. I'm just going through them as much as I can because I really like her writing style. So today I started The Scarlet Thread by Francine Rivers. I listened on audiobook. And this is a different narrator this time. When you start listening to audiobooks, you find some of your favorite readers, and if you become accustomed to a certain reader, it's hard for my brain to switch gears and listen to a different reader. But I guess it's fine because then, you're not associating the same reader with a new story and getting the stories confused. So maybe it's good that they use a different reader. But I don't really know if I like it or not yet. I really don't like the lead female character, though. She starts out really self-centered. But that's my first impression. That doesn't mean she's going to be self-centered the whole entire story. Maybe that's where, maybe that means something to the story. But I find it to be a very, I'm sure it's good because it's Francine Rivers. She wrote it, so it's got to be good. I usually have good luck with her books. But we'll see. The Scarlet Thread. I'm also still reading Biscuits, Butter, and Blessings. It is the Farm Fresh Devotions for Hope and Comfort by Linda Kozar. And my Bible study group is still going through Open Your Bible. I think we have 2 more sessions left. We meet on the second and fourth Wednesday morning of every month. So we don't go through a lesson a week. We go through a lesson every 2 weeks. Because we're busy people, and we find it easier rather than getting together once a week and trying to cram several days of lessons into a week. We spread it out some, and it makes it less frantic. And I think it gives us more quality discussion. So we're still doing it's called Open Your Bible, God's Word is for You and for Now by Rachel Myers and Amanda Bible Williams. So we're still working on that. I'm still reading The Rainbow. It's by D.H. Lawrence. And I'm getting small amounts. I read a small amount of it this past week. Last week I was talking about how I felt like I owed it to the author to read the book, and then I said, no, I don't owe them anything. I don't owe them a finished book. And why would D.H. Lawrence care anyway? D.H. Lawrence is dead. He don't care if I'm reading his book or not. So, that was a dumb thing to say, that I feel like I owe the author to read their book. I don't. But I want to finish it because I want to finish it. And I will. I'll finish it. And what he does, he talks about a different family member in each chapter. And there was one family member that I just didn't care for. And so it made it difficult to finish the chapter. And so that's, but now we're on to a different character. And I'm kind of liking it okay. It's just, I'm ready to be done and move on to a different story. But that's all that I'm reading now. And so let's move on to the next segment. So now we made it to the Movie Mama section. I've only watched 2 movies in the last couple of weeks because I've been watching a lot of podcasts. And in my next episode, I will talk about the podcasts that I watch. But I watched 2 movies. I watched Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. It's a 1967 film with Spencer Tracy, Sidney Poitier, and Katharine Hepburn. And I'm kind of laughing a little bit. That's one of the movies that whenever it comes on, I have to stop and watch it. I really enjoy the program. But I have to say, after seeing it so many times, I've kind of changed my opinion on the young lady in the film. She's played by Catherine Houghton. She's actually Katharine Hepburn's niece. She plays the character Joey Drayton. Okay, she's the daughter of Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn in the movie, so they're the Drayton family. And Sidney Poitier is a doctor named John Prentice, okay? Well, John Prentice was previously married and had a son, and they both were deceased, okay? This man is a doctor. He's more like a research doctor, and he's getting ready to fill a job at the World Health Organization in Europe. And they meet in Hawaii, this young lady and him. They meet in Hawaii, and within 10 days, they've made up their mind that they're going to get married. And that's fine. I have no problem whatsoever with racial marriage at all. Okay, I'm going to say that right now. If my children wanted to marry Any other race, no matter what it is, I would not have a problem with it. My problem is that John Prentice's character, I feel like she didn't meet what I thought would be his level of expectation of a woman. She was very young, and clearly she was very naive. I feel like Sidney Poitier's character chose beneath his social standing by choosing such a young woman, because he'd had a family before, and he was quite a bit older. They portrayed him as being 26 and she was 23, I think. But I think he was a little bit older than that. But as educated as this man was, and how sophisticated he was, she didn't seem anywhere near his equal intellectually, in my mind. I could be wrong, and forgive me if that makes me wrong, but I don't think her character and his character would have gotten together under the same circumstances in real life. And even in, the Drayton family, they were a wealthy family. I mean, they had a housekeeper, so they were socially adequate, but I just didn't think that she was mature enough for him, and she wasn't elegant enough for him. But, who am I? I'm nobody. It's just my opinion. But it's a good movie, and I watch it just about every time it comes on. The most entertaining part is when the grocery guy comes to the door, and he's just getting down. He's dancing and doing his little thing, and then the housekeeper's assistant comes out and asks for a lift into town, and then they both are dancing all the way down to the van, and I giggle. I giggle my head off every time, because nobody, okay, I can't say nobody, very few people would exit a home carrying on like that. And even the I don't carryest grocery delivery boy would not come up to your door gyrating like that. He might not care. He might have had that same attitude that he had when he delivered the groceries. But he wouldn't have danced like that, and he wouldn't have danced out to the van. That was just a hokey little scene in there, but I laugh at that. It was kind of funny. So anyway, that's my opinion of that movie. And then the other movie I watched was Kiss Me, Kate. It was a musical from 1953. It featured Katherine Grayson and Howard Keel and Ann Miller. I enjoy Ann Miller. She's in a lot of musicals that I enjoy watching. But Kiss Me, Kate is not, it's more of a light opera rather than a popular modern musical with pop songs. Like, for instance, if you watched Meet Me in St. Louis or Singing in the Rain, they sing, like popular American standard type songs. But, Kiss Me, Kate is more of a light opera, because their style of singing and the music is just a little bit more elevated. But it was a cute movie. I liked it, and it was Technicolor. I love Technicolor because all the colors are so vivid and rich. Just I like the look of the bright colors. I find it more entertaining, But that's all the movies I've watched this time. So now it's time to move on to the next segment. So now it's time for Miscellaneous Mama. And Miscellaneous Mama is where I just talk about whatever I want to talk about. And so this time I decided I was going to tell you about my yarn crafting experience. I started yarn crafting in January of 2014. It was actually a New Year's resolution I had made, and I don't typically make them every year. I'm not someone. When I want to turn over a new leaf, I turn over a new leaf whenever I want to. I don't wait till the first day of January. But that particular year, I wanted to try a creative project and start it and finish it in 2014. That was my goal. And so I browsed around the internet, browsed around, and I was drawn to knitting, but I had tried that when I was in high school, and I just couldn't make the two needles work. I couldn't work it out, and my friend, she ended up being my mother-in-law, who recently passed away last month. She's my mother-in-law now. But I knew her when I was in high school, teenager. And she taught me how to knit. And so she taught me what to do, and I went on my way, and I came back, and she said, "What you got there?" I said, "That's the knitting I've been working on." She said that she had attitude, and she never minced words. She goes, "That ain't knitting." She said, "I don't know what this is, but it's not knitting." I said, "Well, it's what you taught me." She said, "No, that's not what I taught you. I don't know what this is." She said, "Your hands must have been put on backwards because that's not knitting." Well, I don't know what I did. But obviously she didn't recognize what I did either. So I kind of just decided that knitting was not for me. And then many years later, I want to say probably in 2008, 7, 8, 9, I got a crochet book, and I learned a little bit, but it didn't click. I fiddled around, with it, but I didn't make an effort to really learn it. So that was a failed attempt. But finally, I was looking around and I saw YouTube videos for loom knitting. Now, hear me out, because I know as soon as you all hear loom knitting, there's a whole entire segment of the yarn community that automatically shuns people who loom knit. Keep an open mind. That's all I ask. So I started the loom knitting. I watched somebody make a loom knit preemie hat, and it looked easy enough that even I could learn how to do it. So I ordered a set of looms off of Amazon, and I went to Walmart and I bought a ball of yarn, and I went back online to find a video, but I couldn't find it. But I found Lumahat, which is the website of Denise Canella, and she makes some of the very best loom knitting tutorials out there. A few months after learning from her, I discovered Ravelry. I started in January, and I discovered Ravelry in April of that year. So I found the Loom Knitters group on Ravelry, on the forums, and I spent several years with them, knitting and having fun and making friends. I learned all kinds of beautiful techniques for loom knitting, and I discovered the fancy yarns, and I developed the expensive obsession of buying independently dyed yarns. So I have a fair amount of it in my stash. I don't only just knit with acrylic or loom with acrylic or crochet with acrylic. I just, you know, different yarns for different purposes. They all have their function in our happy yarn society, as far as I'm concerned. But in 2015, I became an avid pattern browser on Ravelry, and thankfully Ravelry has one of the best pattern catalogs in the entire world. The ones that would draw my eye were always the crochet patterns. And then an adorable crochet day bag that was made with Lion Brand bonbons came across my screen, and I absolutely fell in love with that bag. I didn't bring it. I was going to show and tell it. But I still use it. And so it gripped my attention so tightly that I made up my mind that I was going to learn how to crochet. Just so that I can make that bag. But I goofed around with some practice projects and learned the technique. And soon after that, I started to make the bag. And I love that bag to this very day. I actually use it as a project bag. After that, I was working on loom knitting and crochet patterns with equal enthusiasm. Then finally, in 2017, I decided to go ahead and try needle knitting. I had a friend who was teaching a class at Hobby Lobby, and I signed up for her class, and she showed me how to start with a scarf, and I had trouble, but I practiced and I practiced and I practiced, and I got better, and it worked out, and I ended up being able to make stitches. But I didn't want to just do boring garter stitch. Not that that's boring. I love garter stitch, actually. What I did, my very first project was a fingering weight lace scarf with beads. That was my very first actual project from start to finish, and it turned out very well. I wanted something challenging, and I didn't want to mess around with just a super simple pattern. I wanted a full-blown challenge, and that's what I did. I knitted that scarf. I used the Bedazzled scarf by Faith Schmidt, and I really enjoyed using it. I used knit picks. So now I do all three yarn crafts. Several years ago, I bought a Zoom loom, one of those, they're square and they have the pins around the edge, and they're for weaving, for pin loom weaving, but I haven't tried it yet. I may or may not give it a go. And I'm also interested in the tabletop weaving looms. But you know, I'm fairly satisfied with the skills that I've already learned, and I'm not really ready to branch out to other crafts at this time. But I still loom knit. It's just one other way to craft with yarn that produces a beautiful project at the end. And so yes, you'll see me use my looms fairly regularly, at least I hope to. But yeah, that's my crafting history, my yarn crafting history. So that wraps it up for my miscellaneous segment. So let's move on to the next segment. So Mama's gonna wrap things up here. I want to thank you for spending this time with me today. I know that watching me and my show is a choice, and so I'm glad that you have given me a slice of your valuable time. If you enjoyed what you saw today, please click the subscribe button. All that does is make it more easy for you to find me next time. And then if you want to, click on that bell. It will send you a notification whenever I upload a new episode. But just know that my episodes will be uploaded on the first and third Thursday of every month. If you want to ask me a question, you can reach out to me via email at midmomama2@gmail.com. I can be found on Instagram at midmomama1. And on Ravelry, I am JenniFerReals. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. Remember, I've upgraded, not just to the toe-to-toe sock markers, but I've also added that skein of yarn and some stitch markers. So hopefully that will make my offer more appealing to you. But until next time, I wish you God's blessings, and we'll see you. Bye.